What's up, Bears fans? Welcome to a post-game edition of the Bear Report podcast. And what a game that was. We're going to break all that down. You see a new face on the screen here. Let's get into that actually first. This is one of my good friends. I've known him for a long time, Steven Johnson. Grew up with him. Bears fan. We've done some stuff together in the past with the Bears. Steven is going to actually help out with this and do instant recaps and whenever he can after Bears games. So it's going to be him and I this week. And we were kind of talking about this for a couple of weeks, and, we were getting into a groove. I'm like, man, the Bears, 4-2, like this is a great time to get like this stuff ramped up. And when I
How long ago does that feel?
Oh, dude.
How long ago does 4-2 feel?
It feels like probably 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Well, this was the first time at Soldier Field in 35 days. That's crazy with the bye week in London and all that. And I thought this was a perfect time. And the first one we're going to do is crazy. Like this is, well, first off, Steven, how are you doing? Because you were at the game today too.
Yeah, it was a fun day at Soldier Field. I'll use fun in a very loose term. Yes. The kids enjoyed it. They raided the pro shop. They had fun in that regard. But I tell you what, I don't know what I watched today. Like there are no words for what that offensive performance was, and seeing it from the live angle and being able to kind of see the entire field and everything that you aren't necessarily watching on TV. This team is broken. Like more than I think you saw watching the games on the road against the Commanders and the Cardinals. Like this is a broken team.
It's funny how a decision that the head coach doubled down on, tripled down on, and thought it was okay to give up 13 yards before a Hail Mary, and then also let this leak into the weeks where, arguably one of the craziest things I've seen on a football field with a defender during a Hail Mary, how it could change everything, dude. Like how good when the Bears took that go-ahead score in Washington, I'm like, dude, they're 5-2. They have 2 winnable games coming up. They're going to beat Green Bay. They're going to beat Detroit. They're going to beat Minnesota. I'm like, and generally, I'm not like a guy that's like, yeah, they're going 16 and 17-0 every year. Like, usually I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before, and I'm like excited.
Right.
And look, dude, they're 4-5, and this is arguably their worst loss of the season. Like, what was it?
I mean, you lose to a now 3-7 team, and the Cardinals look like world beaters all of a sudden after what they did to the Jets today, which I don't think anybody was expecting by any stretch of the imagination. And even Washington, like they're staying competitive even if Jaden Daniels isn't leading the way. And you talk about that Commanders game where, it felt like they were winning the games they weren't supposed to win. And that's something that we've seen with these Bears teams in the past that, once they get that under their belt, they're doing pretty damn good for the remainder of the season. The Tyreek Stevenson thing, he looks like a completely different player since that game. I don't know why. He had a terrible game today. Again, just overall, a team that just feels like they want to give up, and they are giving up. And there are several points that, we didn't even have to watch on TV and have somebody reiterate to us that were plain as day on the field where players just stopped playing through the whistle on obvious situations that really destroyed their momentum. Keenan Allen had a couple of those today, not finishing blocks. The offensive line, the false starts, not paying attention to the play clock. It was just everything. And it seems like every week they just add a few more blocks onto the tower that for all purposes is starting to fall down now. And now the big question becomes, what changes happen? And that's my concern. That's my concern, is that nothing is going to change. That there's going to be finger pointing to the fact that they dealt with 4, now 5 injured offensive linemen with Tevin Jenkins going down mid-game today. and that it just wasn't working to what they have this scheme to do. But in the grand scheme of things, Shane Waldron never needs to call another play for the Chicago
Oh
Bears
man.
ever again.
Oh,
The amount of times somebody can run the ball on 2nd and long in a game, I mean, I'm sitting here. It made no sense. The entire game plan made no sense.
here's what gets me. Anyone that follows this team all week, like even if you're not a diehard, like you're not reading all the reports or anything like that, you've heard this offensive line's banged up. And
Right.
that's fine. Like I do think there is an element to it where like, yeah, like the offensive line at one point when you like you mentioned Tevin Jenkins went down, I think it was legit 4 backups. And like Coleman Shelton was like the only one in there that was a starter. Maybe Matt Pryor, but he was a backup before the year started. But like anyone that follows this team, you know how banged up the offensive line is. What do the great and the really good teams do if there's injuries or things like that happen? They find a way to game plan where that is not an issue. And there are ways to do it. However, when you look at this team, they didn't do that, number one. Number two, you see the same like pre-snap stuff. I think every offensive lineman besides Coleman Shelton has like a pre-snap penalty this year or more than one. Like
Probably.
And then you talked about the Keenan Allen block. Like, yeah, I'm with me. I think like players deserve blame too, but when it's consistently happening and consistently just like you're calling that play, trusting those guys to block, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what the outcome's going to be. And that play, man, to me, that was where I saw him. Like, the effort is just not there from this team because that's a play. I necessarily didn't have a problem with the play call fully. That's a play where it's boom or bust. If Keenan Allen makes that block, DJ Moore is good enough to go 40, 50 yards, maybe bring it all the way.
Right.
When he doesn't make a block, what happens? You lose 3 yards. You're behind the sticks. Everything goes downhill. You're right, dude. Like, I'm at Hallis Hall. I did not think this would spiral. It's a weird environment there right now. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're together.
No, and I think that at this point in time, given the body of work, and you can argue that this is maybe the best roster that Matt Eberflus has had as head coach of this team, but Matt Eberflus is the common denominator in each of these 3 years. And here we are, that he has not won a standard Sunday away game in 3 years. He continues to have players not play through the whistle. He has a team that has given up 300 yards in the last minute of a half this season. 300 yards. The next best team, or next worst team, I should say, is 160 yards.
Double.
I mean, it just makes you wonder, what motivation tactics does he have? And right now, the answer is none. What is working? Even today, you talk about Keenan Allen not finishing. There was, I don't know how much was shown on TV, but watching the body language of DJ Moore when he's on the opposite side of the field from where a play develops, whether it's something that doesn't go for a long gain or it's a missed pass or it goes to somebody and it doesn't develop the way that it's supposed to. And just the amount of, I guess, over the top theatric we see from him, just the frustration out of him. It was kind of eye-opening, even on top of all the things we say. Oh, look at DJ Moore, look at him walking off, look at him doing this. There were like 6 or 7 times today where he was like legitimately angry, like visibly angry. And I mean, this is from like the 200 section. I mean, it wasn't that close, but it was very noticeable. And it makes you wonder, like, okay, your star receiver that you just paid a ton of money to, that you're struggling to get involved, is continuing to respond this way to what's happening on the field. I mean, you have that. You have the veteran who's not doing what you brought him in to do. You have Cole Kmet, who, I mean, he's saying the right things after the game, but you're not getting him involved. He didn't get a catch until the third quarter today.
And I think that was his first target because the ball that they threw first was so overthrown that they didn't even count it as a target.
Right. Yeah, it's just there's so many things, and everyone is seemingly taking it in a different way for the offensive struggles. And then you have Caleb, and don't get me wrong, like Caleb deserves blame today. He missed a fair amount of very simple passes out towards the sidelines today. That, I mean, there was one to commit that it might have been that one that they just did not call as a target. They went right back, same play, next down, same exact play to connect on it. And it's like I don't know what it is about that out route. He struggles with it consistently. He struggled with it with DJ Moore today. He struggled with it with Cole Kmet, and it turned into a 2-yard loss with DeAndre Swift out in the flat once. I mean, there's a concern about consistency with him, and I think it just kind of all trickles down from there. In addition to what Shane Waldron's doing,
and the
I don't know what he's doing
either. The concepts, I mean, against Arizona, there was that play late in the second half where I want to say it was DJ Moore and Cole Kmet were in the same spot on like a third or fourth down, and that happens way too much. You're right, dude. I agree. Like the body language is not good from this team. Caleb's frustrated. I've seen some clips online. I haven't been able to watch the TV broadcast. I've seen some clips of like Caleb and Shane sitting close to each other, and Caleb's got like this little smirk, or not a smirk, but he's got like this like shaking his head, and Waldron's kind of like giggling or laughing. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the clip in question, Shane's talking to him and like laughing, like, "Oh, we're having a great time here." It's like no one's laughing. There's nothing to laugh about. And Shane looks back down at his tablet, and Caleb's just like, "WTF?
Yeah, what's this dude doing?
Going on?"
It's frustrating because, like, dude, even in the loss to like the Texans, the Colts, I don't think Caleb looked this bad outside of a couple like interceptions. Like he's made some, the one in Jacksonville against Jacksonville, the throw to DJ Moore, where he just missed.
Yep.
My biggest thing was he didn't spiral. He went right through 2 or 3 more touchdowns. Like it would. And for some reason, last couple of weeks out of the bye week, it's like the Monstars came and just sucked all of his talent out because he's not taking the check down. He's missing on these throws. And like, I'm not going to say it's over, like he's a bust.
Right.
But somehow he's regressed. And only the Bears would do that to such a promising quarterback. And, you can say like, yeah, Jane Daniels has looked better. Drake Mays had his flashes. Dude, I honestly believe it. The Bears would have drafted Patrick Mahomes. I used to never think this, but like they would have ruined him. Like it's just something like they don't develop quarterbacks. I don't know. And like it goes down to bad decisions, man. And you mentioned it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? This right now, it. I mean, you've been a Bears fan all your life. We've talked about this before. They never fire coaches in season, head coaches.
No, and the thing that has been talked about this week is the question of what if Matt Eberflus actually signed a 5-year deal and not a 4-year deal? And it makes it that much more difficult to try and justify chopping now versus anything else. And I mean, I time and time again, it's the McCaskies. They don't allow that. It's not their style. It's like, it's time for the Bears to get with the times and be able to make the difficult decision and do what's best for this team. We want to see, George getting up there. I mean, how many times have we heard him in the last, we'll call it 8 years, get up in front of a podium and say, Virginia's pissed. Virginia wants to see this team win. Clearly she doesn't.
Right. Well, okay, you said 8 years, right? I've been in 3 or 4 of those press conferences. I could tell you a quote from every one, probably.
Right. I mean, I can't even imagine the deja vu that you have to feel when like this it's a cycle. Every single 2 years is a cycle.
They did 2017.
Yep.
They kept John Fox, drafted Mitch Trubisky. 2021, they kept Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy and drafted Justin Fields. And, I know it may have hurt Ryan Poles to let Matt Eberflus go after last season. They're friends. They obviously have said how close a relationship they have. Man, it's looking like a big mistake. And I think everyone was probably on board with every one of us or, people in the media or fans, podcasts. Everyone's like, yeah, you have a chance here. Look what Washington's doing. Look, Van Pelt the Patriots weren't lighting up the scoreboard, but at least Van Pelt had a solid game plan for Drake May. This is crazy. What we saw today, man, was arguably the worst game plan I'm just at a loss of words. And you and I were talking before this, I just get done waiting. There's no way they're losing this game. The offense is going to get going. And then they're just before the half, they don't score. They give up the late score, and then they come out in the third quarter. It's the same thing. And then even it was, you know what? They're actually consistent in that they were bad all game, because in the fourth quarter, that when they were trying to drive, I don't know if they were down one score or two still. They did a draw right into the blitz. Did you see that? Roshan Johnson got stuck. Poor guy had no chance.
No.
He's probably Caleb's probably in the huddle. What are we calling? Roshan's like, I don't want the ball. What are we doing here? We need to score a touchdown. And it's disappointing, man. And honestly, I feel like it's all spiraling. It's going downhill, man. It is going downhill in a hurry. And
it is. And I think just on top of that, and obviously, you saw the vibe in the press room after the game, and immediately Eberflus was asked, what's going to happen? Is the play calling going to change? And he said, everything's on the table. We're looking at everything. That did not seem confident to me that they were seriously considering that they had to make drastic changes with a guy that 9 games into his Bears tenure is clearly not working out at all.
Yeah.
And to think that, we've seen the Jets with Robert Saleh, we've seen the Saints with Dennis Allen run into these slumps that are very similar to what the Bears are experiencing now, and ownership saying, we're done. We're not watching this ship sink. And out of these 3 teams, the Bears have the most promising player on the roster, and they're refusing to do anything major to try and save the ship from sinking.
Oh, 100%. He's regressing.
Yeah.
Your rookie quarterback should not be regressing. This is crazy. And Matt brings up this point here on the screen. Name one offensive player that's gotten better under this regime. Can't say. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Where's Tyler Scott? Why doesn't he ever see the field?
That's a great question.
There's no one on offense that's actually gotten better. Yeah, it's crazy. Braxton Jones, he hasn't gotten better. He's just Braxton Jones. Nothing against him. Maybe a little. I don't know.
You can say that Wright has regressed from his
Cole Kmet, I guess.
If they use him.
Yeah, if they use him, that's a problem.
They got to use him, and they used him in games earlier this year, and he did fantastic. The Jacksonville game, the Colts game, even though they lost the Colts game because of bad play calling.
Yeah,
but they used him, and it was clear that he could stretch the field, that he could be a weapon, and it seems like they're still hell-bent on making sure that Gerald Everett has snaps. Gerald Everett needs to not touch a football field for the rest of time.
He got the quick out in the game and fell forward for 2 yards on 3rd or 2nd and 8 or something like that. Yeah,
it's just these line of scrimmage passes, and I'm looking at the chart today. Caleb Williams had 1 pass over 15 yards today.
Oh, that dude
attempt over 15 yards, and that was the play that everyone in the stadium thought was an offsides.
Yes.
And so he just whipped it deep.
Yes.
Terrible throw.
Yeah.
Not nowhere close to being a completion.
2 guys in the same spot.
Yeah. And that happened so many freaking times today. I mean, you mentioned that earlier. There were other times, just very short out routes to the sideline where you had two dudes just standing next to each other and allowing the Patriots secondary to just clamp together. And there was no second read for Caleb to look at. But when you don't let the most talented player on your team use his talents and at least adapt to what he's good at, getting the spread, not doing this condensed run heavy line of scrimmage game plan, you're literally neutering the one guy that could save your franchise.
And to be fair, he does need to be a little better at things. Like, I think you would agree, like taking the check downs, getting rid of the ball, maybe, which, there was a couple plays early in the game where, he really should have got rid of the football. The offensive line was doing its job, and we can't complain about that. But as the game went on, the offensive line was just starting to wear down, and they're down to 4 or 5 backups. And I just kind of feel like Caleb's confidence is shot, and that's unfortunate. That's just, because with all this talent, man, like this should not be happening like this. And today was probably the deadest. I mean, you were there. Like, Soldier Field in the second half was silent.
The
silent.
The most excited the crowd got the entire second half was when there was a fan playing high or low with the playing cards on the big screen. That was the loudest it got. The entire second half was watching somebody win $1,000 in bet credits. At Hollywood Casino.
Yeah, they do like the high or low thing. Like,
yeah.
That was the Fire Flu's chants were pretty loud.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, Fire Flu's chants were pretty loud. I mean, I mean, I don't. You
it's
think
not
they're
going to happen?
No, they're not firing Flus in mid-season.
If there's going to be anything happening, it's Shane Waldron getting play calling duties taken away. But I don't truly know what that will solve. It's more of a scapegoat situation, because at the end of the day, you can take his play calling duties away, but he's still the offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
And there's still not another coach on this the staff that I believe has NFL play calling duties.
As I got to look it up, but so I'm guessing if they strip the play calling duties from Waldron, which I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Oh, it'd be Thomas Brown. He was the offensive coordinator for the Panthers.
Okay.
Last year.
So
which doesn't really make it.
Yeah.
But still, your point remains. Like, what do you do? Like, is that an upgrade? I don't know. I've never really seen much of Thomas Brown. I didn't really watch a lot of Panthers games last year in full. I know they had issues.
Was Frank Reich doing the play calling before he got cut?
Yeah, didn't he switch? He switched. Like, they did the weird thing. Like, he took it and then gave it back. I don't know. I feel like they did something weird where, like, he took it back, gave it back, something. But I mean, Shane Waldron's still there. He's still gonna have an influence. Like,
right. And who's to say that Shane Waldron in the meetings and the prep for the game is going to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what you need to call.
Yeah.
And it's followed, and we just have deja vu all over again from what we saw today.
Well, it doesn't get any easier either. Like,
no.
Dude, they got green. That stadium is going to be 35-40% Packers fans next week.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to hear Go Pack Go when they're up 15 in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, it's brutal because, like, they're 4-5. You have 8 games left. You have your division, your whole division slate. You have a road game at San Francisco with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. You have a Seahawks team. You don't know what you're going to get. Like, that's probably the one game I think they'll be favored in, right? I mean, that'd have to be it, right?
I don't even think they're going to be favored in that, to be gratefully honest. I mean, that's how low I am on this. I mean, it was 6.5 right now for the Packers, I think.
Which was, it opened early line. The look ahead line was 2.5 Packers before this game.
So I mean,
off season, it was Bears -1.
Yeah. So I mean, that goes to show you that, I mean, usually the home team gets 3.
Yeah.
So think about that. That's a 9.5 point swing right there.
And it's not going to stay at 6.5.
No, it's not.
I bet it'll probably close 7.5.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if it goes to 8. I
8?
really wouldn't. I mean, at this point in time, depending on what gets, and I think that we're going to see a seismic shift tomorrow, depending on what the Bears choose to do with this offensive staff. And if it does end up being, all is right as rain, we're going to figure it out. We're a team, hoorah, rah.
They'll have a team.
It's
They'll
going
have
to
a team
increase.
meeting. They'll have a team meeting tomorrow.
They'll have
And
a
then we're
team meeting. What is this, number 3?
No, oh no, it's like 5, 6.
5? Okay.
They,
I mean, it's an every other week occurrence. I mean, put it in the team schedule, bi-weekly.
I think it is. I think like players are like, yeah, we're having a meeting today. I'm just planning for a meeting, and then you're gonna have Flus go and say the same thing. Well, the operation's not good. We're trying to figure it out. Well, you're 14-29 as a head coach. You had 2 back-to-back. I don't know if the stat's true, but back-to-back games without an offensive touchdown. Someone said for the first time since like 2004. No way.
That wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't shock you, but doesn't it still feel like?
What was the Jimmy Clausen year?
Oh, that was 16. Did they bench Color that year?
Yeah,
16.
Something. I just remember a game against the Panthers that was horrendous. It sticks out of my mind.
Which one?
I mean, there's plenty. I mean that would have been Justin Gage and Marty Booker.
I saw
possible.
that stat somewhere. It's possible.
It's very possible.
But still, I mean, they have 5 games. They have 5 games now after not scoring a touchdown today. They have 5 games in the Matt Eberflus era without scoring a touchdown.
That's
offensive. That's crazy.
And they have this ping pong effect too, where they keep going back and forth between defensive and offensive coaches. And I think at this point in time, it's pretty clear that it's not just picking one or the other, depending on what this team needs. It's picking what's right for the future of this franchise and the promising young hire. And truth be told, they have not made that hire probably since Lovey. Lovey is probably the last time that they made the smart hire. I mean, Mark Trestman.
Mark Trestman's a hell of an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I mean, you had that. You had John Fox with the treads upon the treads upon the treads. You had Matt Nagy, who is not necessarily the big name when the Bears signed him, and then you have Eberflus when you talked about even potentially having Dan Quinn as your coach. I mean, imagine Dan Quinn being here instead of Matt Eberflus.
Well, I mean, so here's the other thing too. Like when I talk to other people around the league, like I was talking to someone that covers the Panthers, and he told me, I mean, you can listen to it on this podcast. He said they might not be winning under Dave Canellis right now, but he's totally changing that culture. Like he's totally gets it, and he totally is trying to change that culture, which is fair. I think Matt Eberflus tried to. I just don't think he's very good at it. And I think like you have to take accountability, and they don't take accountability. Dragging on, dude, like pregame of the Cardinals game, they were still, the national media was still talking about the Tyreek Stevenson thing because we didn't know if he was for sure benched. And then we found out, he was a little unhappy about, like, what are we doing? And then the whole tripling, that drives me nuts. The tripling down on we're going to take 13 yard and like, what? Just guard the sideline, dude.
It just made no sense whatsoever. And every time I hear about Matt Eberflus being like a leader, I always go back. There was a video that NFL Films put out of Matt Eberflus walking around pregame as guys were stretching and warming up, and his nicknames for all the guys.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a dad who's trying to be hip talking to his 13-year-old teenager son that is just like, get the hell away from me.
Yeah.
Like that's what it I mean, that's literally what it just felt like. It's just like this guy is not serious. This is not a leader of men. Like this is not the guy that you want to get behind and charge out of the tunnel with. And I don't know how many more games we need to have that seen by the people that are actually making the decisions, or if it's literally just George's way or the highway, because I don't even think Kevin Warren has that ability to
No,
supersede anything else that Ryan Poles may or may not think.
no.
To
Kevin Warren's
say
not making those decisions.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they
It,
got their own issues with that stadium stuff. He's got a.
somebody needs to teach him how Chicago politics work and the state of Illinois works, because I don't think it's there.
That still
Another
also,
subject for another day.
Yeah, one of the weirdest press conferences I've ever been to. Too. That was the one that told you. That's another. But I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's just so. It's like I had such high hopes for them. I wasn't like crazy. Like they're gonna win a playoff game and like win the division, but like I thought they could contend till the end, like just be right there for the playoffs. But dude, there's a realistic chance they could be 4 and 13? 4 and 13.
At what point
Bad.
do you just I don't know if there is a point. I don't know if there's a point. Okay, so rest of the schedule, just laying out week by week. Packers at Bears, Vikings at Bears, Bears at Lions on Thanksgiving.
Short week.
Bears at Niners, going out west. Or long week, I guess. Right?
Still, long week, but still, I'm going out west.
Yeah. Bears at Vikings, Lions at Bears, Seahawks at Bears,
right
Bears
after Christmas.
At Packers. Right after Christmas. So their Lions play the Bears on December 22nd, and then the Seahawks play the Bears on the 26th. So 2 games in 4 days.
I mean, dude.
I don't know what else to say that is what is the right time. Now is the right time.
Yeah, but they're not, man.
It's not going to happen.
Dude, they watched the Patriots and the Bears, or they watched the Patriots and the Packers embarrass them on national television. What year was that? 2017? 2014.
Yeah,
2014. They're not. That should have been hit right there, man. That should have. I don't know. I mean, the Nagy stuff too. Like he just broke himself during the press conferences. I don't know, man. Well, thanks, Ron, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Very much.
I feel bad for the fan. Like this is my job, and I'm like sick of this. I'm sick of it, man. Like it's crazy. Like it's. I feel. I mean, you know me. I grew up a Bears fan. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to. They say it's non-traditional, but like I think the new media landscape, it's fine to be a Bears fan and cover the team.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm subject. Like I don't think I'm like Homer or anything like that. And like it's driving me nuts, man. Like it's like I've covered should have covered 2 playoff games. Got sick the year they went COVID to. I didn't have COVID, but I got sick. But they went to New Orleans and couldn't score. I watched the Eagles game. I was there. Like haven't even come close to the playoffs since that Saints game. Like not even close.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking 2011 is their last playoff win against Seattle, a Seattle team that was below 500. And they, then obviously the NFC Championship game that sparked Caleb Haney mania. That's the last time we're talking about a winning Bears playoff team. 13 years. It's been that long, and I think that, and Ron says it, like there is a sentiment right now that Bears fans are fed up, and they have every right to be, and they've had every right to be for a very long time, very frustrated with this team. The national media after today, even at halftime today, was saying, is it worse to be a Jets fan, a Panthers fan, or a Bears fan? And I had to think about that.
I mean, I'd still think it's worse to be a Panthers fan right now.
Yes, right now.
I think I think this is the better one. And Kyrie Thompson, who is a Bears fan but covers the Patriots for Boston.com, I had him on the podcast. He brought up a good one. He said right now he'd rather be the Patriots situation than the Bears. I don't know, man. I don't
See,
know. That's not saying that May's going to be better than Williams, but after what he saw today.
I think based on, I hate using this word, but it's true, is culture. That, the Patriots have a culture that is a lot more positive, a lot more just driven than what the Bears have, because I think it's been such the MO so long for what the Bears are and what they have been that everyone just expects
ownership, man.
Yeah. And I think that nothing is going to change until that happens. It kind of even reminds me of the Cubs and the Sam Zell years, where it's just
God.
get it over with.
Yeah.
Like,
God.
Find something. Like, get things out the door. And obviously, we know the story with the Ricketts and everything else with the Cubs, but it's going to stay that way until major change is made, and it's not coming anytime close. A new stadium isn't going to fix things. Nothing is going to fix.
I didn't even get that right.
Right. And they can talk about how they have some of the best facilities in the NFL when it comes to Hallis Hall and everything. And that might be true, but you're still putting lipstick on a pig.
Yes, 100%, because the product in the field is not translating.
Right. And until you figure out what the common denominator is, Matt Eberflus, and actually do something about it, firing him, we're not going anywhere.
No.
Whether it's the next 8 weeks or whether it's the next 2 years.
They're very possibly looking at a top 10 pick. And before we wrap that up, I like what Matt said here. Do you guys feel the offseason needs dedicated to fixing all lines or the O-line? They're gonna have the Panthers second rounder. They're gonna have their own. They're gonna have their, which looks like a top 10, top 12 pick right now. I haven't looked at Tankathon yet. Sad. I shouldn't have to look at Tankathon. I was hoping I'd have to look at Tankathon. I love the site.
Whoever runs it for you right now. So
great site. Nothing against them.
They're 16th right now. If the season ended today.
Well, that's because there was what 12 2-7 teams or something like that. Crazy 10 2-7 teams.
There are currently 11 teams with 3 or less wins.
Okay, so let's say they pick top 15.
Okay.
Offensive line, edge rush. I would say it's probably you have to get 2.
It's a very strong edge year. So I would say that's probably going to be where they end up going, and then they use money. They probably use Keenan Allen's money to sign a
Nate Davis,
an offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, you could get a free agent offensive lineman. You could draft one. You could take an edge too. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, but that needs to be the key. Circa Miami Dolphins 2021 draft all linemen. Doesn't matter what it is, just draft them all. Don't draft anything else.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. You gotta build the trenches. I mean, we're gonna see the next couple of weeks, man. They're playing 3 really good defenses in a row, 4 really good defenses in a row, and then Seattle's no slouch either.
Right.
I mean, that's it. I mean, Steven, this was fun doing this. We're gonna try and do it. We're gonna try and do it every week.
Yep.
I'll be at some of the games. I'll hop in. Steven's gonna kind of drive it. I trust him with it. We thank all of you guys for hopping in. We're gonna take a lot more questions and things next week too. So rate, review, subscribe. We're on all major podcasting platforms, being podcast version as well. Steven, where can everyone follow you, and what else? I mean, what else do you do? What else do you want to plug? I know you do. You do a lot of stuff, man.
way too much stuff. You can find me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, at Steven with the PH_Roto, and all of the fun there, and all my melting down over Chicago Bears games weekly.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Like I said, I feel for the fans, dude. I just it sucks, man. It's like therapy. Like I just have to when I'm on Twitter, like people are asking, it's like therapy, man. Like I told the dude today, I'm like, I feel so bad. Like he's like, I'm used to it. It's week 10. I'm used to it. I'm like, it's a shame though. Like you shouldn't have to live your life like that. And everyone's like, well, Cubs fan, same thing. I'm like, guys, this is not normal. Like this is,
there is nothing positive about being anything Chicago fan related right now.
Nothing.
At all.
Zip. Nothing.
White Sox worst record of all time. Cubs missing the playoffs. Bulls not being good. Blackhawks being terrible. Bears apparently being terrible. Hell, the Fire are even terrible.
Yeah.
So there is zero Chicago teams that are actually worth watching right now.
Bad. We'll be back next week, though. hopefully, man. Hopefully, like it's not too bad against Green Bay. Like, we'll be back next week. Thanks, everyone. Please rate, review, subscribe, all major podcast platforms. Until next time, everyone. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy.